we're actually getting a really good insight through HPE into what's happening in real terms in the real world of data center build out. We had it with CoreWeave just a few weeks ago. A part of this, right, is a delay on a specific data center project. And you can't book revenue until that project goes ahead. Is this a one-off? And if you could, just explain to the Bloomberg Tech audience what is in your power to control and what is still happening out there in the supply chain for data center build-out that's holding things up.
Well, good morning, Ed, and thanks for having me. Look, in Q4, we posted a record profitable quarter where we saw revenue growing 14% and profit growing faster at 26%. And that allows us to exceed both EPS and free cash flow guidance, so capping a very strong year. But on the AI front, we continue to see strong demand. We booked another $2 billion in orders. More than 60% of our orders are in sovereign and enterprise. And as you stated, there were a couple of deals that slipped into 2026. One of them was for data center readiness, was slightly delayed. And two were because of the U.S. government shutdown. We couldn't deliver the system and get it accepted. But in general, sovereign are longer, right? Longer sales cycle, longer acceptance cycles. But we are intentional on that because, we are focused on profitable growth in AI.
Yeah.
And now we have a backlog, which is over $4.7 billion. So ultimately, it can be data center. It can be also customers picking different technologies like Vera and Rubin and maybe waiting for AMD. But the reality is that there is more back-end loaded. That's why we guided a year the way we did it, but ultimately reaffirming a 17% to 22% revenue growth guidance, in addition to raise the EPS and free cash flow guidance.
That data center lumpiness and indeed the holdup that you saw, what is it? Is it supply chain issues? Is it cooling? Is there something that tends to be the holdback?
It's a combination of many things, Caroline. I think sometimes, just the real estate takes time. Bringing the power and cooling takes time. In some cases, the equipment, right, slightly delayed because you're talking about turbines for, power generation. Some cases, it can be low-level components. But look, these are very large build-outs. We're talking about, tens of megawatts, sometimes hundreds of megawatts, and now we're going into gigawatts. And so we just need to recognize that it takes time to build these large data centers. And ultimately, we will be ready to deploy as soon as these data centers are ready to accept the systems. But also the working capital takes also longer to get through.
So you just referenced Vera Rubin, and I'm trying to understand what you meant there. NVIDIA has this, we've discussed it, Antonio, several times,
Yep.
This commitment to annual update to the technology. And are you saying that there are customers out there that just want to wait for the latest gen before they commit at scale to a big project?
Well, or there are customers already in the current generations, the generations before, that feel now, I need to get another bump in performance so that I can lower my cost per token training as I go forward. So it can be a combination of both. And depending on where they are in the build out of the data center, it makes sense for them to go to the next generation. But also we see an interest, in getting the choice and the flexibility to build these data centers the right way. And that's why, we at HPE now, with the addition of Juniper, we are becoming a networking-centric company. And this past week, just in Barcelona, I came back yesterday, we announced a number of amazing technologies that allows customers to adopt, whether it's NVIDIA or whether it is AMD. And we announced the first scale-up Helios switch that allows them to adopt this technology. So it can be a combination of things, depending on where they are in that build-out cycle.
Our Bloomberg Intelligence analyst, Woo Jin Ho, always loving the diversification of the business and the leaning into the networking, Antonio. But just going back to with the data centers and the margins, that's always been the question. Like AI servers, the cost is memory. You seem pretty confident. Why are you confident on just having the handle on the shortage that we've got in memory?
Yeah, absolutely, Karen. Well, look, I'm very pleased that we returned the entire server segment, inclusive of AI, to approximately 10% operating profit in Q4, which was our commitment since Q1. And regarding cost of commodities, we need to recognize that the cost of commodity will be driven by the shortages we are going to experience in the latter part of 26, starting the second half, particularly in DRAM and obviously as well NAND. And we already enacted price increases in the month of November, and we already factor what we think is going to happen, at least the best line of sight we have in our guidance. And that's why not only we reaffirmed the revenue guidance, but we also raise our non-GAAP EPS guidance, considering what we see going forward.
Antonio, I'm really interested in the differences in the demand profile of say, Vera Rubin and against Helios. You know, Helios, the pitch is its scalability, but are you getting more interest there at the edge in terms of use cases? Just trying to explain the real world differences of what you're seeing among your customers.
Yeah, I think, enterprises are accelerating adoption. I give you my own example here at HPE. We already have 100 plus use cases in production using AI across a number of functions and business units. And obviously we use AI for our own products, which is one core differentiator for us in the market. But in terms of where the work is being done, is done everywhere. But we see now the growing in inferencing, which tells you that AI is being deployed. And there are a lot of use cases, whether it's manufacturing, transportation, healthcare, where the inferencing is cheaper at the edge, where things takes place, where the data is generated. And then obviously it's the training aspect, which can be a combination of locations. And in Europe, for example, this concept of sovereign AI clouds is super important because they want to preserve the sovereignty from a model perspective and the data. So it's a hybrid design by design. And that's why I always say AI is the true definition of a workload.